There's a version of you quietly forming in the background of your life right now. Not loud, not obvious, not something you can fully explain to anyone around you. But you feel it. A shift in the way you think. A distance from who you used to be. A strange sense that something inside you is changing. And the truth is, if you continue on this path, if you keep listening to that inner pull, you may one day look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself. Not because you're lost, but because you've evolved. You didn't always feel this way. There was a time when you fit in more easily, when your reactions were automatic, when you followed patterns without questioning them. But now, you pause more, you observe more, you question things you once accepted without thinking. And sometimes that makes you feel out of place, like you're standing in a room full of people, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. Not above them, not below them, just different. And that difference can feel isolating, because growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like losing parts of yourself. Old habits start to feel uncomfortable. Certain conversations drain you. Environments that once felt normal now feel heavy. You begin to outgrow things quietly. And no one really warns you about this part. The part where you're no longer who you were, but not yet fully who you're becoming. This is where most people get confused. They think something is wrong. They try to go back. Back to what's familiar. Back to what feels safe. But what if this discomfort isn't a problem? What if it's a signal? A sign that your awareness is expanding. That your mind is no longer satisfied with surface-level thinking. That your emotions are becoming more honest. That your identity is being rebuilt from the inside out. Because real transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens in quiet moments. When you choose reflection over reaction. When you walk away from something that no longer aligns with you. When you sit with your thoughts instead of distracting yourself from them. It happens when you start asking deeper questions. Why do I feel this way? Is this really who I want to be? What am I holding onto that I've already? These questions don't always have immediate answers, but they open doors. And once those doors open, you can't unsee what you've seen. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, in other people, in the way the world moves. You realize that not everything deserves your energy. Not every opinion needs your response. Not every path is meant for you. And slowly, you become more intentional, more aware, more in control of who you're becoming. But here's the part that can feel uncomfortable. As you change, not everyone around you will understand. Some people will expect the old version of you, the one who tolerated more, the one who stayed quiet, the one who fit into their expectations. And when you no longer do that, it can create distance. Not because you're trying to disconnect, but because you're finally being honest with yourself. And honesty changes everything. It changes how you speak, how you think, how you carry yourself. It makes you less reactive, but more aware. Less impulsive, but more intentional. Less concerned with approval, and more focused on alignment. You may even notice moments where you surprise yourself. How calmly you handle something that used to trigger you. How clearly you see a situation that once confused you. How easily you walk away from things you once chased. That's not random. That's growth. That's the new version of you, quietly stepping forward. And one day, you'll look back at the way you used to think, the way you used to react, the things you used to tolerate, And it will feel distant, not in a negative way, but in a way that shows you how far you've come. You won't need to announce it. You won't need validation, because you'll feel it. In your peace, in your clarity, in your ability to stand alone without feeling lonely. And that's when it really hits you. You didn't become someone else. You became more of who you were always meant to be. Layer by layer, choice by choice, moment by moment. So if you've been feeling different lately, if you've been questioning things more, pulling back, reflecting deeper, don't rush to fix it. Don't force yourself back into old patterns just because they're familiar. This version of you that's forming, it's not here to destroy your life. It's here to rebuild it more honestly. Trust the process, even when it feels uncertain, even when it feels lonely, even when it feels like you're in between two versions of yourself. That in-between space, that's where transformation lives. And if something in this video resonated with you, take a moment, pause, reflect, ask yourself where you're growing and where you might still be holding on. Because awareness is where everything begins. If you're on this journey, you're not alone. There are others out there, quietly evolving just like you. So if this spoke to you, let it be known. Like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Last Call for the Chosen for more reflections like this. Not to tell you who you are, but to help you understand who you're becoming. And as this version of you continues to unfold, something else begins to change. Your relationship with silence. You no longer fear it the way you used to. In fact, you start needing it. Because in silence, you hear yourself more clearly. Not the noise of expectations. Not the pressure of the outside world. Just you. Your real thoughts. Your real feelings. And at first, that can feel overwhelming. Because you start noticing things you once ignored. Patterns you kept repeating. Emotions you kept burying. Truths you kept avoiding. But instead of running from them this time, you stay. You sit with it. And that's where something powerful begins. Not a sudden transformation, but a steady one. A grounded one. You begin to rebuild your inner world. Your mindset becomes stronger, not louder. Your confidence becomes quieter, but deeper. You don't feel the need to prove yourself anymore. Because you're no longer trying to convince others of your worth. You're starting to feel it for yourself. And that changes the way you move through life. You become more selective. With your time. With your energy. With the people you allow close to you. Not out of ego, but out of understanding. You realize that not everything deserves access to you. And that realization alone shifts everything. There will be moments, though, where the old version of you tries to come back. Old reactions, old fears, old habits that once felt like comfort. And for a second, you might slip. You might respond the way you used to. Think the way you used to. But then something clicks. You catch yourself. And that awareness, that's proof. Proof that you're no longer who you were. Because growth doesn't mean perfection. It means recognition. It means seeing yourself clearly, even in your mistakes. And choosing differently, more often than you did before. You also start to notice. You don't chase things the same way anymore. Not people. Not validation. Not outcomes you once felt desperate for. There's a calmness replacing that urgency. A quiet confidence that says, what's meant for me will align with who I'm becoming. Not as a guarantee, but as a mindset. A grounded trust in your own direction. And with that, you begin to let go more easily. Not because it doesn't matter, but because you finally understand that holding onto everything was never the answer. Some things are meant to teach you, not stay with you. This is the part where your life starts to look different. Maybe not dramatically on the outside, but deeply on the inside. Your priorities shift. Your perspective sharpens. Your reactions soften. And people notice. They may not understand it, but they feel it. You're no longer reacting to life the same way. You're responding. You're choosing. You're becoming intentional with every step. And that intention, that awareness, that quiet strength, that's the version of you once couldn't even imagine. So when you think about the person you're becoming, it's not someone unrecognizable in a negative way. It's someone unfamiliar in the best way. Someone more aligned, more aware, more real. And yes, it will still come with challenges. Moments of doubt, moments of overthinking, moments where you question if you're doing it right. But even in those moments, you don't completely fall apart the way you used to. Because now you have something you didn't have before. Perspective. You understand that growth isn't linear, that healing takes time, that becoming who you're meant to be is not a race. It's a process. So give yourself that space to grow, to change, to evolve at your own pace, without rushing it, without forcing it, without comparing it to anyone else. Because the truth is, the person you're becoming is being built in moments no one else sees, in decisions no one applauds, in internal battles no one knows you're fighting. And one day, all of that quiet effort will reflect in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you choose peace over chaos. And that's when you'll realize you didn't just change your life, you changed yourself. So stay with it, even when it feels slow, even when it feels uncertain, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Something is happening within you, and that is where everything begins. If this message is meeting you at the right time, take it as a reminder. You're not falling behind. You're not lost. You're in the middle of becoming. So don't turn back now. Keep going, keep growing, and keep choosing the version of you that feels most true. And as you keep moving forward like this, something subtle but powerful begins to settle inside you. You stop needing constant reassurance. You don't check for approval the same way. You don't second-guess every decision. You don't shrink just to make others comfortable. Because somewhere along this journey, you started building something internal, a kind of self-trust that doesn't need to be loud. It's quiet, but it's steady. And once that starts to grow, everything else begins to fall into place around it. You may still have moments where you feel uncertain, moments where the future looks unclear, where you wonder if you're making the right choices. But the difference now is, you don't panic. You don't abandon yourself. You stay grounded, even in the unknown. And that's a version of strength you didn't have before. You also begin to understand your emotions differently. You stop labeling everything as good or bad. Instead, you start asking, what is this trying to show me? And that question alone changes your entire relationship with yourself. Because now, instead of reacting instantly, you reflect. Instead of suppressing things, you process them. Instead of escaping discomfort, you learn from it. And that creates depth, real depth. Not something you can fake. Not something you can rush. It's built over time through awareness. There will be days where everything feels aligned, where your thoughts are clear, your energy feels right, your direction feels certain. And then there will be days where everything feels off, where your mind is heavy, where your motivation disappears, where you question everything again. But this time, you don't see those days as failure. You see them as part of the process. Because now you understand. Growth includes both clarity and confusion, both progress and pause. And this understanding, it makes you more patient with yourself, more forgiving, more real. You stop expecting yourself to have it all figured out. You stop forcing timelines. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight moments. Because deep down, you know you're building something real, something that lasts, and that changes how you move. You become less reactive to pressure, less influenced by noise, less distracted by things that don't truly matter. Not because you don't care, but because you finally know what deserves your care. And maybe the most powerful shift of all is how you start seeing yourself, not as someone who is behind, not as someone who is broken, but as someone who is in progress, someone who is learning, adapting, evolving. You start respecting your own journey, even the messy parts, even the moments you wish you could redo. Because now you can see. They all shaped you. They all brought you here. And here, this version of you is stronger than you realize. So when that thought comes back, will I even recognize who I'm becoming? The answer is yes, but not in the way you expect. You'll recognize yourself in your peace, in your clarity, in your ability to walk away from what once controlled you. You'll recognize yourself in the way you choose growth over comfort, in the way you stay true to yourself even when it's hard. And maybe, just maybe, for the first time in a long time, you'll feel aligned with who you see. So don't be afraid of this transformation. Don't resist it just because it feels unfamiliar. This isn't you losing yourself. This is you finding yourself beyond everything you were told to be. Keep going, even if it's slow, even if it's quiet, even if no one else understands it. Because this journey, it's yours. And if you've made it this far, if you're still here, still reflecting, still trying to grow, that says everything. It means you're already becoming. So take a deep breath. Stay present. Trust your pace. And continue showing up for the person you're becoming. If this connected with you on a deeper level, don't just scroll past it. Pause for a moment. Let it sit with you. And if you're ready to keep growing, keep reflecting, and keep evolving, stay connected with Last Call for the Chosen. Because this isn't about telling you who to be. It's about walking with you as you discover it for yourself. And even after all of this, the growth, the awareness, the quiet changes, there's still another layer waiting for you. A deeper level of honesty. The kind where you stop performing, even when no one is watching. You stop pretending you're okay when you're not. You stop forcing energy you don't feel. You stop saying yes when everything inside you is saying no. And that level of honesty, it can feel uncomfortable at first, because it asks you to face parts of yourself you've kept hidden. Not from others, but from yourself. The doubts you avoided, the fears you covered up, the truths you delayed. They don't disappear. They wait. And when you finally turn toward them, that's where real change begins. Because now you're not just growing on the surface. You're transforming at the core. You're no longer trying to look strong. You're becoming strong in a way that doesn't need to be seen. And this version of strength, it's different. It's not loud. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need to prove anything. It shows up in how you handle pressure, in how you respond to disappointment, in how you stay grounded even when life feels uncertain. You begin to realize, not everything needs a reaction. Not everything deserves your energy. And sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is choosing peace over chaos. That choice, it changes your entire life. Because now, instead of being pulled in every direction, you move with intention. You move with clarity. You move with purpose. And slowly, your life starts to reflect that. The way you spend your time changes. The way you speak changes. The way you see yourself changes. Even your future. It starts to feel different. Not because you suddenly know everything, but because you trust yourself enough to figure it out. And that trust, it becomes your foundation. You no longer need everything to go perfectly. You don't need constant certainty, because you know that no matter what happens, you'll handle it. You'll learn from it. You'll grow through it. And that realization alone removes so much fear. So when challenges come, and they will, you don't collapse the way you used to. You pause. You breathe. You think. And then you respond. That's the difference. That's the shift. That's the version of you that once felt so far away. And now, it's becoming your reality. Not overnight. Not all at once. But piece by piece. Choice by choice. Day by day. So if you ever find yourself doubting this journey, if you ever feel like you're not changing fast enough, remember this. You're not meant to rush becoming someone real. You're meant to build it. And real growth, it takes time. It takes patience. It takes showing up, even on the days you don't feel like it. But every moment you choose awareness, every moment you choose honesty, every moment you choose growth over comfort, you're moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it. So keep going. Keep becoming. Keep choosing the version of you that feels aligned, even if it feels unfamiliar. Because one day, you'll look at your life, at your mindset, at your peace, and you'll realize this is who you were becoming all along. And this time, you won't feel lost. You won't feel confused. You won't feel like you need to search anymore. You'll feel grounded, clear, certain in a quiet, steady way. And that's when it all makes sense. So don't stop now. You're closer than you think. Not to perfection, but to yourself. And that's everything. And just when you think you've understood yourself, life has a way of revealing another layer. Not to confuse you, but to refine you. Because growth isn't a finish line you cross once. It's a process that keeps unfolding as long as you're willing to stay aware. There will be moments where you feel completely aligned. Like everything inside you is finally quiet. Like you've reached a place you used to search for. And then something shifts again. A new challenge. A new perspective. A new realization. Not to take you backwards, but to take you deeper. And this is where many people misunderstand the journey. They think once they feel peace, it should stay forever. But real peace isn't about everything staying perfect. It's about knowing how to return to yourself, no matter what changes. You begin to trust that. You begin to trust yourself. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've learned how to face the questions. And that changes everything. You stop fearing the unknown the way you used to. Because you've already walked through uncertainty before. You've already felt lost and found your way again. So now, even when things feel unclear, there's a part of you that stays calm. A part of you that says, I've been here before and I made it through. That quiet voice, that's who you're becoming. It's not dramatic. It's not overwhelming. It's steady, grounded, real. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets. You start making decisions that reflect your growth. Not decisions based on fear. Not decisions based on pressure. But decisions that feel right, even if they're difficult. And yes, sometimes choosing growth means choosing discomfort. It means walking away when it would be easier to stay. It means speaking honestly when silence would be more convenient. It means standing alone when following the crowd would feel safer. But every time you make that choice, you reinforce who you're becoming. You prove to yourself that you're no longer controlled by old patterns, that you're capable of something more. And that realization, it builds a kind of confidence that can't be taken from you. Because it wasn't given to you. You built it, moment by moment, decision by decision. So even when life tests you again, even when things don't go the way you expected, you don't break the same way. You bend, you adapt, you learn, and then you move forward. Stronger, wiser, more aware. And one day, without even realizing when it happened, you'll notice something different. You'll notice how calm you've become in situations that once overwhelmed you. How clear your thinking is in moments that once confused you. How steady you feel even when life is. And in that moment, it will hit you. This is it. This is the version of you that was forming all along. Not perfect, not finished, but real. A version of you that doesn't need to pretend. That doesn't need to chase validation. That doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Because now, you know who you are. And more importantly, you trust who you're becoming. So if you're still on this path, still growing, still questioning, still evolving, you're exactly where you need to be. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Don't compare it. Just stay committed to it. Because the person you're becoming is worth every moment of uncertainty you've had to walk through. So keep going. Quietly, steadily, honestly, and let your life reflect your growth in ways words never could. If this journey feels familiar to you, if you see yourself somewhere in these words, then don't ignore that connection. Take a moment. Acknowledge how far you've come, even if no one else sees it. And if you're ready to keep moving forward, to keep understanding yourself on a deeper level, stay connected with Last Call for the Chosen. Because this isn't about becoming someone else. It's about finally becoming yourself. And even after all these shifts, there comes a moment that feels almost unfamiliar. You start feeling enough. Not because everything in your life is perfect. Not because you've achieved everything you once imagined. But because something inside you has settled. The constant need to chase slows down. The pressure to prove fades. The noise that once filled your mind gets quieter. And in that quiet, you meet yourself in a way you never have before. No masks. No performance. No pretending. Just you. Raw. aware, present, and at first it might feel strange because you're so used to measuring yourself by external things, by outcomes, by validation, by how others respond to you. But now, those things don't define you the same way anymore. You begin to define yourself from within. And that shift, it changes how you experience everything. Success feels different. Failure feels different. Even time feels different. You're no longer rushing through life trying to become something. You're actually living while becoming. And that balance, that's something most people spend years trying to understand. You start appreciating small things more. Moments of peace, moments of clarity, moments where you feel fully present in your own life. Not distracted, not overwhelmed, not chasing the next thing. Just here. And there's power in that. Because when you're fully present, you make better decisions. You see things more clearly. You respond with intention instead of impulse. And slowly, your life becomes a reflection of that awareness. Not perfect, but aligned. Not easy, but meaningful. And here's something even deeper. You stop needing to explain your journey to everyone. You realize not everyone will understand your changes. Not everyone will see your growth. Not everyone will relate to the path you're on. And that's okay, because this was never about them. It was about you, finding your way back to yourself. And once you understand that, you move differently. You stop over-explaining. You stop oversharing. You stop seeking permission to grow. You simply grow. Quietly, consistently, on your own terms. And that kind of growth, it's powerful because it's real. It's not influenced by trends. It's not shaped by pressure. It's not dependent on approval. It's built on awareness. And awareness, once you have it, you can't go back. You can't unsee what you've realized. You can't ignore what you now understand. And that's why you've changed. That's why you feel different. That's why your life no longer fits the way it used to. Not because something went wrong, but because something finally started going right. So if you've been feeling this shift, if you've been noticing these changes, if you've been slowly becoming someone you don't fully recognize yet, don't resist it. This isn't confusion. This isn't losing yourself. This is alignment taking shape. And yes, there will still be moments of doubt. Moments where you question everything again. Moments where you feel like you've gone backwards. But look closer. You haven't gone backwards. You've just gone deeper. And depth, it requires patience. So give yourself that patience. Give yourself that understanding. Give yourself that space to grow without pressure. Because the version of you that's emerging, it's not rushed. It's not forced. It's built with intention. And when it fully settles, when it becomes your natural way of being, you won't need to think about it anymore. You'll just be it. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep showing up, even on the days it feels quiet. Because those quiet days, they're doing more than you realize. They're shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for a life that actually feels like yours. And when you finally step into that fully, you won't feel like someone new. You'll feel like someone true. So stay with it. You're not just changing. You're becoming. And now, after everything you've felt, everything you've questioned, everything you've started to understand, just pause for a moment. Look at yourself. Not who you used to be, not who you think you should be, but who you are right now. Because this version of you, it matters, even if it's still growing, even if it's still figuring things out. You've come further than you realize, through thoughts that tested you, through moments that changed you, through choices that slowly shaped you. And you're still here, still aware, still trying, still becoming. That's not something small. That's everything. So don't rush the next step. Don't pressure yourself to have it all clear. You're not behind. You're in progress. And progress takes time. Keep choosing honesty. Keep choosing growth. Keep choosing yourself, even when it's not easy. Because the person you're becoming is built from these exact moments. Quiet ones, uncertain ones, real ones. And one day you'll look back, and it will all make sense. So trust where you are. Stay grounded, and keep moving forward, one step at a time. If this message stayed with you, take that as a sign to keep going. And if you're ready to continue this journey of growth and awareness, stay connected with Last Call for the Chosen. Like, comment, and subscribe. And keep becoming the version of you that feels true.